Welcome to our channel. My name is Albert Chambers.
My name is Kayla Winter, and you're here at Basebin TV.
And here we are.
It's the first episode.
This is the first episode.
First one ever.
So we're starting this podcast because we needed to start to have more of a voice and to be support
Yeah.
for a lot of bands. So this was what this channel is going to be about. This channel is going to be about education. It's going to be about talent, old and new, because we have some great guests, right?
We do. Well, we started to notice that you're a little bit more seasoned in the music industry. I'm kind of up and coming in my career. There's a lot of places where we have crossover, but there's also a lot that we can learn from each other. And we think those are really interesting perspectives that we can be sharing with everybody.
Yeah. So I think that's what this channel is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a good back and forth with ourselves. We'll have episodes between myself and Kayla, and we'll have those superstar guests. And we're going to have some great indie artists that are up and coming, because we want to support those people that are actually like working hard to get some type of visibility. And we want this channel here to get some visibility. So don't forget to like and subscribe.
And if that wasn't exciting enough for you, I think we're also going to be having some live performances on our podcast.
Absolutely. It would be insane to not use the facility that we have here at Basebin Studios to be able to have acts come in, perform, have some great live music for the show. And I think it's going to be a fun show.
So we keep talking about our facility. Why don't you give us a little overview about what Studio Basebin is?
Well, Studio Basebin is a fully equipped rehearsal, recording, and video facility. So we have 6 rehearsal studios, and we have 1 large production room, which acts as basically, anything that we want to do, from huge rehearsals before you go out on tour to video productions to all kinds of anything. We can really do anything in this one spot. Kayla, you are no longer new to Studio Basebin.
I guess not anymore.
No.
What's the cutoff for that? Is 2 years the cutoff?
I think, you're well over 2 years. So I believe you're no longer a newbie,
right?
Since I actually hired you to manage the studios. So I trusted you enough with your skills and from your past as a performer. So you had experience performing. You had experience coming out of an engineering school.
Yep.
That's where I initially found you and got you to quit.
Quit school? I mean, I finished the degree first.
Oh, yeah, you finished the degree.
The first degree.
You were going on a second degree.
I was, yeah.
And I made you quit.
Yes.
How did that?
Yeah,
come
so
about?
I guess, who is Kayla Winter? Musician for many, many years. Classically trained vocalist. Went to college for that. Didn't love the college experience. Left, went on tour. And then...
What was the name of the band?
The name of the band at the time, Dollhouse Riot.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of fun. A lot of trial, error, learning curve. But basically, there came a point where I just wanted to have more autonomy. And that required me to actually go back to school and to learn more about my craft. So I went back, 28 years old, got myself my sound engineering degree, and ultimately ended up here. I actually ended up here first as a sound engineer, specifically. And I think within 3 months, that changed. And now I just run the place.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't want to know about anything. So no, Kayla does a great job running the studios. And not only that, is she's artistic. So when she goes into the room, she does a lot of live sound, which is awesome, because live sounds like a lot harder than working in a controlled environment, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, there's a lot more factors.
Right.
And especially when you're coming from a situation where you can take your time and you're the only person and you're focused on your computer, versus now being in a room where everyone has different demands all at the same time, and they're looking to you to solve all of those problems right now. that's a completely different beast.
And you're a lot more volatile in that environment where some dangerous stuff can happen. Feedback, so you're riding gains and trims and volumes, and you're going, don't feedback. Just don't. Please don't feed. Because it's not only just embarrassing, but it can be dangerous to some people if they're close to the speakers, right?
My eardrums. Yeah.
Yeah. Yours and clients, It's like,
I'm at a point that like, I'm pretty sure some of my hearing is gone. Not from this place specifically, but playing shows, not having the money to have the in-ears.
Right.
So that plus this, if you see me and you're calling my name down the street and I don't turn around, I legitimately can't hear you.
Could be that.
It's most likely that.
Could be that. So now that you're on a different path to working in the studio, more managing a studio facility, and not exactly straying 100% away from your music from the past, but how do you feel like you miss being more in that creative mode, or do you feel like you're still amongst your industry, therefore you don't feel as separated from your art?
It's kind of a mix of the two. I spent so much time strictly being a performer, strictly being on stage, and kind of only having to focus on like the singing songwriting part, that I didn't realize how big the ocean was around me. And I think the benefit of working in a studio like this is that every single day is different. I think when I tell people I manage a studio, I think that they assume that means schedules, saying hi to the bands. And that's really just the tip of the iceberg. If you go below the surface, then it's now we're going to edit podcasts. Now we're going to shoot music videos, a lot of client liaison, figuring out, production deals. What's this album going to be about? What is this project going to be about? Like, there's so much more to it.
Because people come in and they're like, I want a video.
And they don't know what they want.
And so, like the process to be almost like, I'm saying this for the first time. And it's hard to like put yourself in a situation where you're talking about something that you need to repeat constantly, but still have enthusiasm and understand that they don't understand how it works. And I think that's what separates us from a lot of other places. Well, the fact is, there's not a lot of other places that actually have everything and all under one roof. Just saying. So we have to be, we have to be ready for any type of situation that may arise. We don't say no to anything.
No, even if it's coming in at 5 a.m. because there's a movie production and they need to rent out 3 of our studios, and they need it last minute right now.
Yeah, it's like that's what we're there. That's what we're there for. We're there to facilitate the entertainment industry, and we're fortunate enough to be able to do it, under one roof and facilitate people that are in movie, film, post-production, bands going out on tour. That's like a huge thing for us. What's the biggest and most common question that you get on the phone from our clients?
I think that the biggest questions that I get, it's not a specific question. It's more people trying to understand what is possible.
Right.
Even if people know that we do video and we do recordings and we do podcasts and we do rehearsal studios and we offer all of these services, sometimes they need someone to kind of guide them and help them realize how much is possible. A lot of times they come to me and they're really timid about it. I had this idea, but like, I don't know. I'm like, no, like tell me about it and let's figure out the details.
Sure.
And the second that I tell them, yeah, we can do that.
Sure.
They're like, really?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Everything is possible.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the best examples of that is, I think it's almost like a year and a half now, probably, where we did a music video in the middle of winter in the woods.
Oh, yeah.
And we set a grand piano on fire
Loved it.
And never in my career did I think I would be setting any sort of musical instrument on fire, but a grand piano in the middle of the woods.
In winter.
Yeah.
That was heavy.
It was very cold.
And that was heavy.
So heavy.
All I remember is it being heavy more than cold, trying to move that piano 20 feet into the woods.
Wait, didn't you get stuck under the piano?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I at one point, it was like, lift it up. Yeah, it was.
I think I have photos of you
Really?
like screaming from under the piano.
I need to see those or not. Maybe I'm going to be too traumatized. But see, doing videos like that, the client understood that everything that we were adding to the production of that video, she was like, yep, gotcha. I know. Super aware of what was going on. It's the clients that don't understand what certain budgets, can either give them in abundance or limit them to a certain degree. So that whether that be videos or whether that would be production, music production.
And those kind of videos though, like those kind of decisions really do make a difference because in the front of our studios, we have the videos playing on a loop. We want clients to know what we're capable of doing. And that particular video is one of the ones that stops almost everybody in their tracks and they just stand and they watch. And I've had so many people go, is that a real piano? Wait, is it actually on fire? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they just don't realize the possibilities. And so I think that's a lot of my job is trying to understand what their dream is, elevating it and just making them realize like what we can do.
I think what we need to do here for our podcast is to be able to let people know that there's a place that they can come and watch and understand that there are people that are at the first tier level, second, third, fourth, up to 5, and understand all of those levels have some type of similarity. Frustration sometimes of like working on stuff and either not getting paid, not getting credibility. And sometimes that doesn't happen just in the beginning of your career. It happens throughout your career.
Yeah. We constantly talk about imposter syndrome between us because, me being at kind of the beginning and you being into this game like over 2 decades now, when I first came here, I still do, I look towards you as a mentor, someone who'd been doing this for a long time, someone who can show me the ropes. Yeah, you're welcome. Like you have been able to teach me a lot and I try to take hold of all of those opportunities. But as, the little guy who's starting out their career, I look at you and I go, wow, they have it all figured out. They know what they're doing 100% of the time, no fear, no questioning. And sometimes I can forget that, you're a human being too.
Right, exactly. Listen, there are times where I've spoken to you about situations where I've gotten hired for these gigs where I don't know if I would have hired myself.
Right.
I honestly, I was like, really? Okay. We want you to go and record a 64-piece orchestra accompanying Dream Theater. Oh, it's the Berkeley Orchestra in Boston. We're playing the Boston Opera House.
No big deal.
And you want me to go and capture a 64-piece orchestra? They're like, yeah, what? Why wouldn't it be you? And I'm like wondering, I was like, do they think I'm somebody else or do they? But I realized I was like, I have enough credibility to prove that I'm able to do this gig, but I'm always going to be walking in going, can I do this? Is this like, especially if you push yourself and you say yes to gigs that you normally wouldn't have, done. Maybe if, it's like maybe back in the day, I probably would have been too afraid to do anything because I would have been too afraid of failing and falling on my face and making a fool out of myself. I still get afraid of making a fool out of myself, but you have to say yes to things that make you feel uncomfortable to the point where you're just on the edge, just just that edge, that's when you know you're in that sweet spot where you still have balance, but you're just leaning over and somebody's holding your belt, as you're looking over the edge and you trust that person. I think you just have to like sort of take your career and your art and anything that you're doing is to sort of ride that edge. Know how to ride that edge where you feel a little uncomfortable, but you're secure enough to know that you're able to like execute. You make a mistake, it's okay. Do it again. Start over. Next time, maybe you'll get it right.
But as someone who's in kind of the beginning of their career, it's wild to me to speak to people who have been like yourself, who've been successful for 20, 30, 40 years. And they go, I still get nervous. It seems that no matter where we all are in our career, there's always a little bit of this imposter syndrome. It seems to come from this place, though, of always wanting to be better. And there's always something to learn. There's always something you could have done a little bit better.
Right.
But maybe that's something that's good not to lose.
If it's a nervous feeling where it really makes you feel uncomfortable, where you're just not even having fun anymore because of it,
right?
That's when it's time to get out. For me, playing live, no matter how many times I played live in front of people, whether it be in front of thousands of people playing for different artists or on TV, I would feel like this is the time where I'm going to make a fool out of myself. I don't know why.
You don't know what you're afraid of?
I was so hard on myself and such a perfectionist, especially playing live. I have very close friends that would be able to act as witnesses to this because ever since I was like in high school, I remember playing a show in high school and everybody after the show, and we all caught it on VHS tape back then. And all my friends have this video except for me. And
oh, you don't want it?
I remember watching it and going, wow, I shouldn't have been so hard on myself. But at the time, I got off the stage, I went backstage, and I laid down on some table somewhere, and the only thing that came out of my mouth was, we were terrible. And and people were like, and you see everybody's faces, they're like, what are you talking about? You guys look like you were having fun. And I could fake it really good. So I let the nerves get the best of me, and I didn't end up having fun on what could have been one of the funnest evenings of my high school days, So as I grew older and I started playing clubs, and I don't know about you, but when I would play live, I just felt like super, super self-conscious. If I heard myself too much in the monitors, I felt super self-conscious. If I didn't hear myself enough, I felt like super self-conscious. I was, oh my God, I can't hear my notes. There was no real solid ground for me. I don't know what it was for you, but for me, you were the front person, so it was a little different for you. So you're probably more at ease. Where I was like, if I play a wrong note, this whole thing falls apart. I was playing bass, so
I felt like just a bassist. I felt kind of somewhere in the middle. When it came to singing, I loved it. I felt like, they kind of describe it as you're like being on a high, and that's what I felt. I felt like I was like outside of my body. It was the most beautiful experience of my life.
Right.
But now you have to like address the crowd. And that's where I would get super nervous.
I would interact?
Yeah, I would get super in my head. And, I would be speaking in my head the whole time. I'd be like, oh my God, you're so lame. Like, stop talking. Just like, get back to singing. Like, stop. So I had a lot of trouble with that. And I mean, I guess in some way that is naturally part of like show building, where they teach you kind of like what comes next, how to avoid dead air. And once I started to do that, that did help with the nerves a little bit. But I mean, I haven't been on stage in a while. I feel like when I was younger, when I was doing shows all of the time, I had some like, maybe a weird like God complex. I felt like untouchable on stage. Kayla Winter was my alter in a way. Like, and she could do things almost kind of like drag queens. Like I was in drag kind of as Kayla Winter, and she could do anything.
Right.
Like, she was not afraid of anything.
Sure.
She was, pounding shots of whiskey, going on stage, singing for an hour. And I wanted to be her, despite her being me.
Right.
When I was off the stage, I just felt like Kayla. And Kayla was kind of quiet, and Kayla was kind of timid, and Kayla was kind of nervous about like how to talk to people.
Yeah.
And I felt like the more time that I spent off stage, that took over.
But you know, it's like you do it, and then you realize, okay, I can do that, and then you go on to the next challenge. You try to make the stress of, attacking each challenge a little different. You have a built-up confidence because of all the other stuff that you've done over the years, and so you're able to manage it a little bit more sane than if it's your first time walking into a room and golf and what you got. I don't. Where do I start? What's a nine iron for? You're not starting from the beginning. So you're in this type of like career where you're at the level where you've had experience. You can basically share your experience with other people. And that means when people come in and they ask questions and you kind of like see where they're coming from, because you're like, oh, I remember, not knowing how to use a mic stand, or I remember those things, and so you're like, oh, that's cute, like. And
I mean, it's like, obviously there are like some situations that are extreme and random, things that happen on stage. But I mean, for me, I was always kind of like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? And for me, that was, I'm going to forget my lyrics.
Right.
Which happened.
Right.
My mic or some kind of gear is not going to work, which happened. And you get through it. I had one show where I, for some reason, forgot the first, like I started singing the second chorus, or the second verse, of my song.
Right.
Versus the first one. And then my mic went out. And then, so I went to the next mic over, and that mic went out.
And domino effect.
Yeah, and then I'm like, and I guess I'm just going to sing from the bassist's mic. And you know what? We're just going to repeat the verse again because it's my song, and I can do that.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Obviously, there was like these moments of like
just
fear.
The verses, I would have just like...
Too much thinking. The mics were also going out. But
that's true.
This was kind of one of those moments where it kind of clicked to me, where it was like, oh, like every single thing, all the things that I was afraid that were going to happen are happening in a domino effect.
You're freaking manifesting that stuff.
But we're surviving. Like maybe they're noticing I'm switching mics, but no one really cares because we keep going.
Yeah. Place isn't on fire.
So
everybody's fine.
By the end of that, I was kind of like, the worst has already happened.
Right.
And you survived. You're fine.
Yeah.
We're good.
You're good. You're able to like flip that page and go, oh, well, move on. Let's go.
So yeah, like it could have been worse.
But when you're doing originals, I would screw up my lyrics, singing originals all the time. And I'd be like, and I'm like, they can't hear that.
In a venue, half the people are drunk.
Nobody's listening to the lyrics. I'm thinking about, and the only reason where I probably screwed up lyrics that bad on a show was because you're a band on a budget, so I'm taking care of like who's coming, what transport company's coming to pick up the gear, at what time. I know this venue closes at a certain time and it's lights out. We got to get our gear out. So I'm thinking of all these things. I got to pay the venue before I leave. I got to you can't, it's really hard to like manage, a band and then perform in it also.
Been there.
It's like people that I know that have gone on tour and they all take turns driving from venue to venue. You finish playing the gig, you got to tear down, you got to pack up, you got to drive, each take your turn freaking driving to the next place. You're not stopping at a freaking hotel.
Nope. A lot of the times you're sleeping in a parking lot in the van.
Oh my God. I remember Antoine Sicotte was in a band called Sky. I used to play in this band called Sky. So before I joined the band, they were at this level where they had just got signed to Arista Records. They were opening up for Britney Spears. And I was backstage when they just finished the show. I met them backstage.
Wait, sorry, was that this at Britney Spears concert?
Yeah. They opened up for Britney Spears.
Did you meet
Oh no!
Queen?
I saw she literally walked in front of me, and I was like, Britney. So Antoine comes off the stage. Everybody's like sweating, and I remember him looking at the tour manager with the most pitiful look. He's like, "Do we have time to take a shower?" And he's like, "No, man. You got to get on the bus. We got to go. We're hitting East Coast." They're going East Coast. And I was like, oh my God. And he just looked red in the face, sweaty, and very much in need of a shower.
Yeah.
And like, there's sometimes it's like going on the road and doing stuff like that. I mean, it's hard to like get back on stage and concentrate and know your craft when you're fatigued like that, and you just don't. It's absolutely almost impossible. Then you have nerves that kick in. Mm-hmm. Like that's another added layer. But like I said, there are people that are able to use that nervous, energy and use it to their advantage. But I was never really. I always choked on the 8-ball.
So then you stopped playing live, but then you started doing productions.
Then I started producing and being able to redo a recording, a guitar take, a vocal take, a bass. I was like, man, this is my world. Mm-hmm. I don't have to get it right on the first pass. Oh, what a relief. So to wrap this up, this podcast is our first podcast, so it won't always be just us blabbing away. It will be more interactive with guests. And our first guest is
Aldo Nova.
So Aldo Nova is going to talk to us about, his career, past, present, how he got to where he got to playing and performing with acts like Bon Jovi, doing gigs for Celine Dion, writing, and the pitfalls of the industry. So he's going to, explain to us, it's like what happens in the industry when you write a hit song for somebody. Does that all of a sudden mean success? Mm-hmm. Monetary success?
And a little bit of what success looks like. Yeah. Because much like art, I feel like it's subjective and unique to everyone's individual experience.
That's right. So if you want to see that episode, like and subscribe. Very important. And we're going to have a link to Studio Basebin, our studios here. If you need to rehearse, you need to record, you need to get a video done, we're right here.
Or a podcast.
Absolutely.
And of course, check us out on Instagram. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out absolutely everywhere.
We'll have all of those links down below. Like and subscribe. Hit the like button twice if you really don't like it.
Like.
No, 2 times, not 3 times. Just 2 times. All right, so we'll catch you next time here on Basebin TV. Swoosh.